It's fun.
What's up, Buckeye Nation? You're tuned in to the Buckeye Cast, coming at you loud and proud, bringing strong opinions and salty humor to Ohio State football. These fellas were born and bred in the Buckeye State, and their brand of banter is guaranteed to entertain and excite you. But if you're not a Buckeye, don't bother. Visit us at thebuckeyecast.com and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at The Buckeye Cast to stay up to date on all things Ohio State football. And be sure to subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. Now here's your host, Joe Warwick.
What's up, Buckeye fans? Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you, as always. Don't forget, you might want to go back and check out this past week's TBC Extra Points. It was wildly entertaining, right, Shawn?
Oh, yeah.
Wildly. Nice little W over the Wolves. We'll jump into that right now. We're going to quickly do a recap.
I'm not bitterly disappointed. I'm not.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone else is. Maybe on the other side of the border up there. Then we're going to talk beat whiskey. Big Ten. This is Big Ten championship week, boys. Then we're going to talk about microscopes, our predictions, and we do have one Twitter question, and we'll quickly get into some playoff talk and the rankings and all that shit. So anyway, let's talk about this big, huge, enjoyable. I'm still basking in the glow of this victory, Shawn. How about you?
I love it. This to me, I almost feel like Big Ten championship game is a trap game. Well, the season's, I guess all the things are still potentially out there, but Michigan, after we lost to Iowa, all I cared about was you beat Michigan.
Yeah.
Shawn,
everybody
so we did that.
Shawn lives in Detroit, so he's walking into work every day with an extra bounce in his step, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was nice this week.
Yeah.
There's only a couple in there, but yeah.
They have any opinions? You get any opinions from the other side?
No, they're all just licking their wounds, and of course, because we, on our quarterback and
the refs,
on and on and on. Not the refs so much. Didn't hear that as much this year.
Okay.
It's
something I saw scattered about Twitter.
Well, I mean, come on. Michigan fan base, yeah. If you're on social media, yeah, Michigan fan base, they're going to have every excuse in the book there is.
Yeah. I like it when they say
they always do.
The Buckeyes must have paid off the refs. Like, paying off the refs ever existed, and especially in today's time.
It just pisses me off. What I see out there is, when guys got video and everyone's saying that a fucking cameraman hit Barrett's leg, and and you can see him in the video limping away, and they're like, "Oh, what are you crying about? You guys won." It's like, hey, that's not what even this is about. This is about what the heck's going on that sideline.
Right.
And either intentional or unintentional, let's address it. If it's intentional, we got a huge problem. If it's unintentional, we've got a minor problem, but you're still going to need to clean up the sidelines, like Herb's petitioning for, essentially.
Right.
And these Michigan fans are like, "Oh, stop crying. We didn't do anything to your quarterback." It's like, hey, man, you don't know shit.
Right. If that's intentional,
Weber said he might have got dinged up. I mean, what the hell's going on over there?
If that's intentional, that's an unlawful act, and somebody needs to be arrested. Like, literally. I'm not joking. I hate the word literally because everybody uses it nowadays. But if somebody did that on purpose, they should be arrested. All right? That's assault.
For sure. That's Nancy Kerrigan, man.
Exactly. Retard with a golf cart. So, anyway, let's jump into this. The good, the bad, and the rest of this game. I personally, my high note of the day, and every time we go to Ann Arbor, is hearing the OHIO chant around the stadium. That's my highlight. Of course. Oh man, I get a little blood rushing to my penis when I hear that. But anyway, jumping into the numbers, Buckeyes put up 350 on offense against, again, I think we were playing the number one defense in the country, a la Penn State. Same bullshit. We put up 226 on the ground. That's a 4.7 yards per carry average. I'll take that all day, man.
Yeah, with like 48 carries, just hammered the rock.
The bulk in the second half. They came out at halftime and were like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take over the line of scrimmage and pound it down their fucking throat.
Well, it was about time. I mean, we opened up that game obviously like shit, and I think the first play was, the read option Barrett run, and he stuffed. And then the second series, first play, we did something with like Campbell's end around or something or other, stuffed. And then another, I'm like, oh no. I'm like, they're going into this play calling. This is play calling we always lose with.
The assholes
but luckily they got out of that funk.
They are afraid to open things up a little too much early on. And
just glad they didn't abandon the run.
Oh God.
That was my worry.
I hope that they've learned from past lessons. I mean, there's too many occasions where that's burned us.
Yeah.
So they jumped out to a quick 14-0 lead, but we took control of the game in the second quarter, and I felt pretty confident in the second quarter when we tied it up, and then obviously we got the ball first in the third quarter. I was like, this game's over, because we were beating their ass in the second quarter. We moved the ball at will on them, and then of course.
Yeah, but I'm telling you what, we would have been in deep shit if, when we were going in for our first score, Barrett threw it right to that Michigan dude
hit him in the
just
stomach.
Dropped it. If he would have picked that ball and took those 7 off, and they put any kind of drive together, even to flip the field.
Right.
That was, thank you, Michigan, for not being able to catch a ball.
There's a reason why he plays defense.
Whew.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, that could have changed the momentum quickly and deflated an offense that was just trying to get their footing, Yeah. So, yeah. But how about, we got to talk about our guy, Dwayne Haskins, came in relief. That pass to Mack was great and all. I think the catch was better than the pass for the 27-yard first down that we needed. Was it like 3rd and 13 or something crazy? We had 2 penalties in a row, and shit was going backwards, and we're like, fuck, the young kids in there. But that catch it reminded me of Anthony Gonzalez in 06. Remember that one? Same part of the field where he had to go up and he caught it on top of his shoulder pad with one hand to continue the drive. Landed on his back awkwardly and shit. It was like mirror image of that play. And then Haskins had the 22-yard run where he almost scored to make it first.
Kid can sling the rock.
Yeah. Definitely confident there. He scored on 3 of 4 drives in the second half, and the only reason they didn't score on the 4th was a missed fucking field goal by that German. But
9.
Yeah, 9 on the field goal. He was Haskins 6 of 7, 94 yards passing in a quarter and a half of play. He came in like middle of the third quarter. So he played the 4th and half of the 3rd. No turnovers, key, because remember last time we saw him, he was bouncing the ball off the fucking turf against Illinois.
Yeah.
I felt the play calling was very decisive. Like on run plays, they're like, we're not running a read option. We are running the ball. Hand it off and go. Very decisive.
Dobbins, I mean, keep feeding that kid.
Yeah.
And Weber.
Yeah, Mikey Weber with another home run. Did you like the play before Dobbins, ran it for like 20 something, 25, something like that, and then he stayed in bounds smartly and didn't go out of bounds because it was the last drive of the game, and we were only up by 4 at that point because the fucking field goal. And Dobbins, got that big gainer off the left side, went down inbounds. And then Weber takes the next carry and goes, "This is how you do it, son. You take it to the house." Fuck that sideline shit. But, Dobbins got over 100 yards. I know I called for like a big 300-yard rushing day, and we didn't quite get there. But Dobbins with 100, JT with 67, and Mike Weber with 57.
Well, I wish they would have just divvied that up a bit so Barrett would have had, 5 less carries, give them to Weber and get him to 100. Just,
Sure.
man, I think it's too much running for Barrett. Then
Yeah.
obviously hurts his knee.
Yep. Which was already hurt by the fucking incident on the sideline. Defense gave up almost 300 yards. Surprisingly, I didn't seem like they did, right? I didn't see 300 yards of offense come out of that Michigan team in that game. Just watching it, they gave up 100 yards rushing. That's fine. 2.8 yards per carry. That's like 2 yards.
I don't mind that.
Yeah, it's 2 yards less than us. Again, defense, 5 sacks, 7 TFLs. Hubbard with 2.5 sacks by his damn self.
He was having a game.
Wow. Does he show up in the big ones or what?
He was having a game, man.
Yeah. Denzel with a couple knockdowns.
Denzel's a stud. I mean, you look at that stat line, and I just did earlier, and Donovan Peoples-Jones, who I think is a complete stud, didn't have any catches. None.
Right. His big play was that punt return in the first quarter. He was quiet after that.
Yeah, I think that's the only time he touched the ball is on punt returns. I think they tried to get it to him a few times, but to no avail.
Well, when that douche O'Corn is whipping the ball all over the field, Jesus.
Oh, Michigan fan hates O'Corn.
They should, man. They should have run him out of town. They're lucky he's a senior.
Well, Harbaugh's getting a little bit of that now. Like, I see on some of the boards. Of course, I think it's just MSU fans trolling them.
Yeah.
They're like, Harbaugh's supposed to be the quarterback whisperer. What's up? He can't keep quarterbacks, can't develop quarterbacks, he can't get quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So they all think all those guys are bailing on him. I think all their eggs are in the Peters and then McCaffrey basket.
Yeah. I've never seen a basket full of Peters, and I don't want to either. But that O'Corn, he missed so many tight ends that were wide open. We can't cover tight ends down the middle of the field, right? Or down the seams. They just run free, flailing their arms in the air. He's just whipping.
Yeah, he's not good.
No, it was comical for a while. I mean, they missed a touchdown a few times, and oh man, I could go on about that guy. I almost feel bad for him. He sucks that bad. Like, I don't know how he got on a Big Ten roster. I don't think he would play at Minnesota or Purdue.
Well, Minnesota needs a quarterback. Theirs just left.
Perfect. Maybe he can squeeze out a 5th year.
Maybe Spate goes there. Spate.
Right, yeah. Might be bad for his neck, though. He's got some busted up vertebrae up in there. He's got some loose stuff.
Hey, get in the cold weather, man. You want to put cold on that.
Oh, okay. A little electric stimulation and some cold. I like that.
Yeah.
So the bad. Quickly, we'll get into the bad. Another slow start by the offense, like we just talked about. Terrible execution in the first quarter. Not helped by the play calling, I will say that. Like you mentioned, that end around to Paris Campbell, horrific call. Dropped for a loss. Defense was not setting the edge on the stretch run plays to the outside. You notice that? Was his name Evans was getting to the corner easily and often.
Yeah.
And nobody's out there. He's getting to the sidelines and turning it upfield for 7 and 8. Missed tackles in the first quarter. Holy shit! And throughout the game too. I mean, I won't just say first quarter, but because that's where they scored all their points, it was more evident.
I know. Do you remember that? Was it 2-3 years ago when they were the worst tacklers?
That's before they brought in Chris Ash, and he brought the rugby tackling scheme to Ohio State. Like
That's right.
2013, 2014. I think he started 2014 because he brought that tackling style, and obviously it helped the defense. But then 9 penalties, another frustration of mine. You guys all know that. I think the bulk of them were in the first half, and drive killers, Again, on the yardage we allowed, I didn't see 200 yards worth of passing coming out of that fuck O'Corn, but apparently it's what it showed up on the stat sheet.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it meaningless yards. Yeah. Meaningless.
So, yeah, they didn't lead to many points, which is good. So we talked about the big punt return and the horrific coverage on that. Set the defense up with, Michigan at the 5 going in. That's horrendous. And the JT pregame injury, it's unfortunate that Gene Smith called off the investigation and Weber took a camera in the arm along the sidelines during the game. This stuff is obnoxious. I went back and watched the 30-minute version of the game, and there was zero room for extra people down there all the way around the field. There was like the entire field was looped in people, and there's just not room for that. I guarantee you Herb's going to have some special rules, especially at Ohio Stadium next year for that shit. So
I got no problem with it.
Yeah. He's talking about keeping people outside the 30s. Between, nobody between the 30s but the team. So yeah, all in all, great win. Then we leading right into this Wisconsin game for the Big Ten championship. This is another physical, line of scrimmage, kind of game. Do you want to get physical?
These guys, Wisconsin will get physical with you. These guys, look, man, they got to be jacked up. Yeah. Hell,
I don't like them.
They play just the type of football I like. Good fundamentals. I think they're in big trouble, but I like Wisconsin. Problem with Wisconsin is we're not playing anywhere near Camp Randall. We're playing indoors on the fast track. Yeah. That's not good for Wisconsin.
Just a couple hours from Columbus, too.
Right? Yeah, that's probably a
2 hours.
7-hour drive from Madison.
I would imagine, yeah. It's not a short one. Definitely going to be the OHIO going around that stadium. I'm sure of that.
Oh, yeah.
So here we go. 8 p.m. Saturday night on Fox. You got the A crew, Gus and Joel. I think these guys are the best new TV duo for announcers out there. I think Gus Johnson brings the wood, even though he's from Detroit. I'm not going to hold that against him. He seems to give the Buckeyes a lot of love and nicknames some of the Buckeye players. We all remember 12 gauge, baby, back in 2014, talking about Cardale. But so yeah, I enjoy listening to those guys. I will actually unmute my volume this week. Unlike previous games where Brian Greasy is the color guy. Not colored, color. So Wisconsin comes in here at 12-0, undefeated. How about that? Does that worry you at all?
Hey, well, they worry me that they play so sound, and they wouldn't worry me except for the fact they're a lot like Iowa, but better than Iowa. So that's got me a bit concerned. I think they're probably the most disciplined team we've played all year, and frankly, they're probably Oklahoma. It's probably a little better, but they're going to be the best team we've played in a long time.
How do you compare them to Iowa? How are they similar?
Well, I think they both play sound defense. They're good tacklers. I think they're always in the right place at the right time. They don't out-athlete you. They out-position their athletes against you, and I think they do it. That's why they're sound on defense. They don't do a bunch of crazy stuff. Offense, they usually got a good to above average offensive lines, guys that know what they're doing, know their assignments, and they fight. They usually give you a game.
And helps when their linemen are just fucking large human beings.
I was watching a Wisconsin stat the other day about their O linemen in the NFL.
Yeah.
And it's like these guys are like all the highest paid friggin' dudes at their positions.
Right.
They had like 4 guys up there that are totally banking it coming out of Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who's that O-line coach, man.
I don't know. I don't think they need one. They just get dudes in there. They just get big motherfuckers.
Yeah, our O-line's been doing a lot better, I must say. But
Yeah.
I'll trade Coach Stud for that guy they got up in Wisconsin.
Yeah, at least for the recruiting purpose. I don't know how good developer, but they must be doing pretty well, right?
Well, they got that hell of a running back. I mean, that running back is
right.
What's he got? 1,800 yards?
It's the quietest 1,800-yard season I've ever heard of. Typically, 1,800 yards will get you in New York in December.
What's his touchdown total?
He's like 13 or something. Rushing, I don't know.
That's not terrible.
No, I don't know what his receptions are like. I don't know if he even catches the ball in the backfield, but yeah, I mean that's one a game.
And he's got what, 400 more yards than Barkley? More than that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how they compare. We can do a bad radio segment, and I can go look that up. But I think Barkley had a good first half of the season, and then started playing real teams. So this Taylor guy has been pretty consistent. He's had some games where he didn't get up over 100 yards, but for the most part, I don't know. I think he's the real deal, and I think anybody could run behind their own line, like you just were talking about.
Well, they haven't actually had Murderer's Row of a schedule either.
Yeah, that's definitely something I was going to bring up. I hate to bang on people's schedules, but it's my favorite pastime. Yeah, let's jump right into that. Utah State, FAU, so he beat the Fighting Lane Kiffins. BYU, who is not who they used to be. That was at BYU.
They're terrible this year.
Yeah, which maybe when they signed the deal a few years ago, it was a good.
BYU was decent last year, I think.
Yeah,
ranked at some point.
Yeah,
not terrible.
Right. Northwestern, which turned out to be a better program than we expected. Nebraska, horrific. Purdue, better. That was the closest game for them. That was a one-score victory, 17-9 at home against Purdue. But the Purdue Boilermakers are back. I don't know if they were ever here, but they're back. They're fighting, and then you got Maryland, Illinois, Indiana. Iowa is the first ranked team that they faced, and then Michigan, of course. Michigan, they executed their quarterback right on the field, and then Minnesota, of course, they spanked. So, you're right. Like you said, not exactly the murderer's row of a schedule, but you can only play with the games in front of you, and I think they're pretty legit. I would say they're more legit than some of these other teams that have played similar schedules, like some of these SEC programs.
Alabama.
Oh, did I say that? I didn't mean to say that out loud. So
I mean, it's essentially, but the schedule's not tough. But to go through the Big Ten and be undefeated at the end, it's no small feat. I don't care who you're playing. Week in, week out, the Purdues and the Northwesterns and the Michigans, all those mid-tier teams that can give you fits.
Yeah, that Michigan game was a trap game coming off the Iowa victory. Yeah. BYU
for sure, man.
Could have been a trap game coming off the FAU game. I don't know. But, yeah. Seems like every week we're stepping in a trap game. So you want to get physical? Let's get physical. I want to get physical. Olivia?
Stop.
All right. So let's get into the injury update. Not a lot changed on the depth chart as per usual. JT Herb said today on his call-in show is probable and will play. This is not very widely talked about, but this did happen. JT had knee surgery on Sunday to clean up whatever was going on in there. A little golf cart knee or cameraman knee, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, he will play. Typically, Herb doesn't pull punches and try and put out propaganda. He's true to his word. So JT's in there. Funny, I remember I talked to you the other day. I think I texted you that Vegas would only move that spread a half a point in Wisconsin's favor if Dwayne Haskins was playing instead of JT. I think that's very interesting. Take?
Well, I think you might want to move it a half point more.
To Wisconsin's
not
favor?
less.
Oh, okay.
No, to
the other way.
Ohio
Okay.
State.
Gotcha.
I mean, I think that offense looks like it hums pretty good. Wisconsin's in trouble in this game.
Yep.
They're in big trouble on that field. And I don't care who's quarterbacking for us. Last time we had a backup quarterback play in that game, we handled that. And I'm not saying it's
12
going to be
days,
quite
baby.
that bad. But as my boy Negan would say, it's going to be a big day.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting that they only fluctuated a half point. And I think maybe the reason they don't go bigger like you would think is the confidence in the receivers, because we still got guys out there. This is fucking week 12 or going into 13, and we still got guys dropping balls out there. McLaurin, Ben Victor, both with drops. It's one of those things that makes me want to pull the hair out of my fucking head if I had any. But anyways, I wanted to touch on Paris Campbell because this is something that just came to light the other day. Nobody's really talking about it. And we've been complaining about having Mikey Weber back there returning kicks, right? And we're like, what the fuck is going on? Why is Paris not back there? With Paris has like a 40-yard average or something, And so they're protecting Paris because of the concussion injury from weeks ago. And they're trying to save him from one of those big hits that he might get on a kickoff return, So I think the coaches, the coaches definitely are protecting him. It's just nobody's admitting to it or saying that in those words, clearly. So I'm fine with it. It would be nice to have some extra pop back there. So it'll be interesting to see if he's back this week or if they're sticking with the running backs.
Yeah, I don't think he looks natural back there, Weber, returning those things. It looks weird.
At least he catches them.
Yeah, he is catching, and that might be why he's back there.
Yeah.
But, again, I don't want to get Weber blasted either. I would can't believe with all the speed and whatnot. Like I said, I'll bet you we got 20 kids on that team right now that returned kickoffs for their high school. 20 at minimum.
Oh, yeah. And punts.
they all did.
Yeah.
Except the lineman, probably.
Yep. So, yeah, it's just one of those things I wanted to bring up because we've seen this change over the last few weeks, and I want to know because, this is for a lot of things, this game. This is where you leave no bullets in the chamber, no plays unused. You go total Calvert playbook, the whole 9 yards, and unload everything here in this game because you got to win it. Because a big win probably gets you in the playoffs, and a loss gives you nothing. You get no Big Ten rings. You get no shot at the playoffs, and you probably go to a shit bowl at 9-3, 10-3. I'm sorry.
Notre Dame again.
Right, you get a 10-3 bowl game. Maybe you come down here to Tampa and play in the fucking Outback Bowl. That sounds awesome. have yourself a fucking blooming onion. But so anyway, that was just my little side rant. Interesting thing came out of interviews yesterday. Typically nothing interesting comes out of the player interviews. This one I thought was, because it was fucking accurate for once and not sugar-coated. Jerome Baker was asked, how do you grade yourself at pass coverage this year? And he gave himself a D, as in dumb, or bad with a D on the end. So I thought that was pretty accurate. How do you feel about that?
I would agree. I mean, just because if it was his first year playing, I'd probably give him a C. But with his expectations, what they were, then yeah, I like that he's hard on himself. Now do something about it.
Yeah, that's the thing is, this is, again, going into week 13, and you've graded yourself a D. At what point did you grade yourself a D during the season and say, maybe I need to change some things? But you haven't changed them. You're still a D. You know? It's kind of frustrating looking at it from our perspective.
Yeah, but some of that's got to go into coaching too, I feel.
Oh, you mean the coach that thought it was a good idea to move Worley to the middle?
Yeah, that coach.
Yeah, that guy gets paid like 6 figures to coach unpaid players.
Urban Meyer's best man, right?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I'll bang on him.
You don't like that guy?
Fuck no. I think he's terrible.
From what I've seen, you're right.
So I think the focus this week is the T word, tackle. 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 And I'm looking again at you, Billy Davis, and your linebacking core. Wisconsin runs 70% of the time. What's that tell you? D-line has to get in there, make blow-up plays, and linebackers have to clean it up.
Yep, tackles are going to have a game.
And we're not going to be in the Rushman package. That's not happening. There's no teeing off on Hornibrook for the most part. I mean, this is going to be, you know, I think this is a game where the D tackles and their depth, like BB Landers and those big boys, they get in there and have to show their worth. You know, this is where they're really going to stand out or get crushed.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to try to attack our weakness, which is our linebackers, middle of the field.
Mm-hmm.
It's what they're good at. It's going to be we got the guys to do it. We'll see if they execute.
Right. That tight end Fumagalli, the WAP genius. I like the way they used Denzel to cover that Sokol for Michigan State a few weeks ago. They put Denzel on his ass, and I don't think he had even a catch. So I think they go with the same game plan there because obviously our linebackers can't cover a fucking tight end to save their lives.
Well, I mean, I feel like they could, but they haven't.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet. It's been 12 weeks, man. They sucked on week 1, and they sucked on week 12. And I forget about size and Denzel versus a 6'5" tight end or whatever. He shut down that Sokol kid for Sparty. And I was impressed with that. So I think they got to go with the same game plan. Put your best cover guy on their best receiver. I don't give a shit if he's a tight end, wide receiver, or whatever. You know.
Well, I mean, our linebackers are gonna the D line and the D end's gonna have to have a big game too because they're gonna want when they do pass, they're gonna want to run play action.
Yeah.
Takes a little longer, and that's where we're gonna need Bosa and Hubbard and Holmes, and Lewis in there like right now.
Well, our linebackers will definitely be sucked in by the play action. You can be guaranteed of that. They've shown no change of thought process to play action. They treat it like a run, and they just attack the line of scrimmage. So I think the secondary on those rare passing plays they're going to have to make plays and cover well.
They will. They're good. You know what? If Ohio State can just come out fast and not, like they never do, and get up a couple touchdowns on these guys and get them out of their regular game plan, Wisconsin will be in trouble.
Yeah, like we said earlier, it's again about owning the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. On offense, we're going to be limited in our number of possessions, so we can't waste them. Whiskey's going to try and bleed that clock, and we may only get 4 possessions a half. 5 if
they do. They grind that clock, don't they?
Yeah.
Gosh.
So I'm concerned about another physical, hard-fought game in the trenches for us. Back to back. So let's get into our microscopes here. Who do you think you got your microscope on this week on the offense, Shawn?
Well, my microscope's on the same thing that the doctor's was on Sunday.
Oh.
My microscope's on JT Barrett's knee.
All right.
So
That's very specific.
I just can't believe that you can go in and they're in there scraping your knee out, and there isn't inflammation or stuff that is going to limit you. And this week in practice, I mean, I don't know enough about it. I've never had it done, but that amazes me. I'm anxious to see how it turns out. If he can't go, I have full faith in Haskins. So I hope JT wins this championship. Looking forward to it. Defense, got my guy we just talking about, Baker. Linebackers, again, middle of the field is where we're either going to live or die against Wisconsin, and Baker needs to show up. I'll have the rest of them as well, but I feel like Baker might be motivated. Something got up his ass that he's calling himself out. So that's the first step towards correcting that shit is admitting you have a problem.
That's true. Yeah. He just has 12 more steps to go.
That's right. Well, week 13.
Perfect. It all lines up. Yeah, I'm going to go with Mikey Weber. I think he's going to be a focus this week because he's going to be like a battering ram running back, and I don't think they're going to be able to run JT a dozen times. So I think Weber's going to obviously share the load with Dobbins, but the battering ram that is consistently getting yards, falling down for 4, 5, 6 yards is going to be key to keep the drive going. So that's going to be my focus. I don't have any worries about JT being smart and making good decisions. That's been well documented, and that's his MO. So Mikey Weber, I think, gets the bulk of the carries and is moving the line of scrimmage in order for us to win. Then on defense, I'm going with my man in the middle. Haven't focused on him at all individually, and that's Tough Borland. I think he needs to step up, and I know he's young, but he's got to have the game of his life, basically. This is the big stage, and in order for us to be successful on defense, he's going to have to lead the team in tackles, I think.
Yeah, he's going to have to tackle that kid.
Yeah.
There'll be plenty of opportunities.
Yep, he's going to have to show up. So, I
like that on Weber. I'll just comment on that real
quick.
That, I was kind of getting over Weber, fell in love with Dobbins, but you know what Weber done for us this year, I'm back in the Weber camp, man. Not that I don't like Dobbins. I just don't think he's our best, but I love Weber getting 10 to 15 carries a game. That dude is freaking stud in my eyes.
Yep. Takes care of the ball. He's a better pass blocker than Dobbins right now. So I think his all-around game is stronger. Sure, Dobbins has the ability to hit a home run anytime, but we've seen Weber come back and hit a few home runs at any time, too.
Weber's the one hitting all the home runs. And it's boom, between the tackles.
Right.
Gone.
Exactly. So let's get into our predictions. Buckeyes favored right now at 6.5. A lot of tickets coming in on the Badgers, though, from the public money. The Sharps haven't weighed in on this one too much yet. and the over-under is at 51.5. So very similar to last week's game in the spread and the over-under. Indoors, remember that. 70
Indoors.
and sunny.
Indy. Yeah. We got a bunch of fast dudes. I got, you take the Buckeyes and the over at 48-10.
Wow.
Blowout on the turf.
That's a
blowout.
Wow. All right. I like that.
You heard it here. Blowout.
Yeah. I like the sound
Defensive
of that.
score in there, too.
Ooh. Now he's getting crazy. He's out of control this week, folks. Tears in his eyes,
we got to get the
guess.
playoffs, man. We need style points. It's going to be.
Right.
When it's pedal to the metal, blow them out. Sorry, Wisconsin. We're going to do it to you again. Be lucky we don't go 59-0 on you.
Could you imagine? I can't. We couldn't even. Oh, man. That would be brutal for them. Anyways, I'm going to go. I'm going 38-10. So close to yours, but not getting the over. I think we move the ball a little bit in the first half and then open it up in the second half and really cram it down their throats and take over. Hopefully, defense can hold their side of the ball down. 38-10 sounds like a dub to me.
I'm not worried about it. Wisconsin, our defense, they're not going to get much done, I don't think.
Yeah, they're going to have to, like everybody does, bring stuff that they've never shown on tape before, which is what Iowa did and Michigan did. They did these teams that give us problems bring things to the table that we haven't seen on tape ever. So we'll see if they do that or if they just stick to their bread and butter. So let's jump into our Twitter questions here. I know you're coming to us from a parking lot in frozen Detroit, Shawn, so we'll try and knock this out quickly. This has come from my guy, Z-Pop. You guys all know him as Zachary Pop, at PopZJ4478. His question is, does the loss to Clemson last year hurt Ohio State in the playoff discussion?
In theory, no. In reality, yes, I think it does. I think us getting in last year, which some would say was questionable, because we went over a 2-win Big Ten champion Penn State, which is just what we are. And we got in last year and totally let everyone down and got blown out. And it didn't help that the year before us, Michigan State got blanked. And yeah, you'd think they're not thinking of that, looking at that, but I think it has. I think it's in the back of their minds.
Thing is,
or maybe just the public.
Yeah, I'd say that's more public perception. I would hope that the committee is not thinking about those things because they're supposed to be taking one season at its merit, you know. And that's what concerns me as we kind of lead into some playoff ranking talk here. Is Bama is kind of a wild card right now, losing that game to Auburn and not even winning their division or their conference. They had no shot at that.
We got in last year doing that exact same thing, though.
Yeah. So that's the big key. You know, I think we need, because we're at number 8, Bama's at 5. I think we need Oklahoma to lose to TCU as a surefire way in. However unfair that might be to Oklahoma after beating us in Columbus, I think that's our best, most sure route in.
I would agree with you. My only problem is I want Oklahoma in there. My dream playoff, if we were to eke in, would be to play Oklahoma and Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And beat them. Or throw Clemson in there, too. I'd take any of those 3.
We got a lot of revenge to inflict.
I know. Too much.
Right. Well, Bama, we don't
But
really
you know
have
what?
revenge on them.
My take on it is we're going to be right there on the cusp. Fourth or fifth would be my guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be between us and Alabama, and that's a coin flip. I think if you want a good audience for it, you go with the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
But it could go either way.
Yep. So just to quickly run through, like you and I talked about, 538.com has their projections on how different teams would make it into the playoffs. So right now, let's go with the favorites and assume that all of the favorites win their championship games. So Clemson beats Miami, Oklahoma beats TCU, Auburn beats Georgia, and then we beat Wisconsin, of course. So their percentage puts us at 49% to make the playoff, and Bama at 33% to make the playoff. That committee, I realize this is human judgment, not just numbers on a fucking website and a little fancy little chart. That is way too close for my comfort. That's why I say Oklahoma has to lose.
If Bama would have any quality wins, but they don't, their schedule is such garbage.
Right. They lost to LSU, who lost to Troy. So, yeah. So that's why, check this percentage out. If Oklahoma loses and everybody else wins out, then our percentage jumps up to 78% in, and Bama's at 49%. So that margin just grew like double. So that's why I say Oklahoma losing is our best way in. You know, of course, we have to do our duty as well.
Oh, we'll do our duty. We'll duty all over there.
It's our duty to do that booty. The thing is, having that human factor making the decision is what scares me, you know? Because they're going to be influenced by all this bullshit. And Gene Smith, our AD, is one of the committee members, and he's going to have to recuse himself, of course, from the entire discussion. So it's tough. We put ourselves in a hell of a position, but I really think they got to take us in.
And if Wisconsin wins, then Wisconsin's definitely in, and Bama's not even in the conversation.
Right. That is the cleanest scenario for the committee, because that is basically the lineup they have right now. They might just shift seeding, you know. But that's why they play the games.
USC has no way in, right?
No, not at all. If they win, and let's say we lose, like Wisconsin beats us, and somebody would have to lose in the top four.
Oklahoma would still have to lose.
Yeah.
For them to get in. They'd still have to get in. They'd have to jump over Bama to get in.
Exactly. That's that one's even tighter at 44 Bama, 42 USC. That's, probably their best, for everybody's best case scenario is Oklahoma to lose. You know.
And they just might, because they're not that fucking good.
Right.
I'll buy it for a minute.
And Auburn losing to Georgia is very possible, but that doesn't do us a damn bit of good.
Didn't Auburn blow out Georgia like a month ago?
Yeah. Yeah, that still leaves us in a very tight spot with Alabama to get in at 41 to 20 or 41 to 30. USC has a 21%, but if Ohio State wins the Big Ten, how the fuck do they not get in? How do you not put the Big Ten champion in the playoffs?
They didn't last year.
I know. It's just last year seemed like a different set of scenarios.
It's not really, though. Penn State was in with 2 losses, and we were 1-loss loser. We were like Bama. We only lost to them, I mean, it's going to be tough. I think it's a coin flip. And you know what? Again, if they don't get in, I'm fine with that too. Because if you want to get in the playoff, then don't lose to Iowa. Don't get fucking blown out at Kinnick.
You can lose to Iowa, but then if they get beat by Purdue a week or two later, you're totally fucked. You can lose to a 10-win Iowa team and still save some face, but then they go and lose the next week to fucking Purdue. You're screwed.
Yeah, we're screwed from the get on that. Ridiculous.
Right. So let's cheer for TCU, and of course cheer for the Buckeyes. I think the TCU game comes first. They are at 12:30. So nice early game, and see what we
don't text me during that game because I'm going to be about a half hour behind at least. I'm thinking.
Okay.
FYI.
No problem. Then you got the SEC championship at 4, and the Buckeyes and Clemson play at the exact same time at 8 o'clock. So
that'd be good for commercial breaks.
Yeah. So it's basically a home game for Clemson up there. I believe it's in North Carolina. Not helping the Canes out whatsoever. But all right. Well, good show. I love the recap of the Michigan W. That one always feels good. And
if Harbaugh loses again the next year to Michigan State, Ohio State, he's going to be in some hot water. Just want to add that though.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you if you got any feedback from your Michigan cohorts.
I think they still love Harbaugh. They can't admit that he might not be the guy. So, no, they're still in love. And, you know, it was an anomaly. And, you know, I'll tell you, last year they were one, spot away from winning the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, who says you guys would have beat Wisconsin? Weren't that good. So, anyway. But... yeah, no, they're going to give him another year on that. But if he does that again next year, I think he's in big trouble.
Well, they might want to prepare themselves because they're coming to Columbus next year. But anyway, I would say that honeymoon phase has to wear off eventually. 3 years is a long honeymoon.
Yeah, and they're all his guys now, so
yeah,
they're all his guys.
Yeah.
He's got no one to blame, and, he's supposed to be the quarterback guru.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate our fans. And the fastest growing Ohio State podcast is still rolling. This was episode number 37. You believe that shit, Henry? 37. Jesus. So anyway, thanks for joining us. As always, hit us up on the website, thebuckeyecast.com. We always have the most recent podcast and the latest game up there streaming. And hit us up on social media at the Buckeye Cast. Talk to you next week. We'll have some extra points locked and loaded for you. And go Bucks. Beat the Badgers. All right, Henry. Have a good one.
All right. Peace.
It's fun.